that we don't see the pipes. So you don't see them underground. You don't get a chance to actually see their deterioration. And I was talking to a community leader the other day, and I said if we could almost open up the roads so people can have a peek and just take a look at what their water infrastructure looks like, we wouldn't be having this debate over whether this price tag is too much or too little to fix the problem, because we only recognize it when a water main breaks or something bad happens. So what we've tried to do is start from the very beginning. The foundation point is, let's look at the problem and find out how big and how deep the problem is. So one, we want to have a full accounting of our lead service lines and the fixtures. What do we have? Before we can actually fix the problem, before we can determine how much money is going to take to fix the problem, right now we don't even know how pervasive the problem is. So that's where we start at. And then aside from that is to use real accountability, not just to municipal water purveyors, but also to the privately water purveyors, the big companies. We want to make sure folks are being held accountable to ratepayers to make sure that infrastructure is sound and safe. And then lastly, working with the administration, and we're still working through that, we need to develop a true price tag and a process to deliver on the change that's needed and those getting these lead service lines out. Because all the studies have shown us, whether it's through the medical piece, whether it's through the effect on certain children's developmental habits and development moving forward, that too much lead in the water and the water that folks are injecting into their body has a detrimental effect to their ability to mature and grow. So we need to do more and make sure we're addressing this.
So much of New Jersey politics is a tale of two cities. It's rich are insulated from many of these problems, and the poor have to shoulder the burden. To what extent is this problem another version of that?
So I don't think we ever lose sight that class and socioeconomic status affects almost and permeates almost every decision that is made in our state and frankly in our country. And for those of us who pride ourselves on being able to look at these issues and try and find ways to make them applicable to everyone, no matter what your zip code is, no matter what your area is, that is a challenge that we often push back against, because too often we'll hear folks tell us that, we can't afford to do this. But if you think about it, all of us, no matter how rich you are or how poor you are, we're only as healthy as if no matter if the least of us are healthy, because germs don't stop based on your bank account. They if you touch somebody and be like, oh, your 401k is bigger than mine, then all of a sudden the germs don't affect you. So and when we think about this concept as it relates to the water infrastructure, the detriment that we allow to happen in certain communities will come home and affect us all. And whether or not you believe in none of the policy of it, you just believe in the fiscal nature of it, it's going to cost us more to fix the problems that we don't address by having good water infrastructure in every aspect and every community in our state. So for all of those reasons, we try and make those arguments that we really truly are all in this together. And in order for us to fix it, we have to come to the table together to find that solution.
Where are we right now on the legislative front?
So right now we have a proposal that's made its way, one proposal that's made its way through the Senate Community and Urban Affairs Committee. It's now sitting in the Senate Budget Committee. I've had some encouraging conversations with Senator Sarlo about us moving that forward before the summer, so before we break on June 30th. We're also engaged with the front office. I think ultimately, whatever we need to do has to have an understanding that it will be blessed by the governor's office in order for it to actually happen. And my colleagues in the Assembly, to Speaker Coughlin's credit, has watched a lot of the work that we've done, has given us a lot of wide berth to do some things, and I think he's now engaging some members of his staff as well as members of the Assembly, my former colleagues, to be in a position to sort of jump on board and help move some of this forward. But our goal is that before we break for the summer, is to have something on the governor's desk that all agreed upon in order for us to get this moving forward. But right now, we're still, working through some of the finer points of this legislation, but we feel confident that we're going to get it there.
What is the most urgent element of that legislation, and what is the biggest obstacle to its swift passage?
I think that's a two-part question, right? So I think the most urgent component to me is identifying all the areas that we have problems in, right? Because that's the first thing. Before you can develop an action plan, you need the plan first, then you develop the action. So that to me is urgency. The biggest challenge always in our state is going to be the price tag it's going to cost to actually fix that plan. So experts have opined that this is a $2 to $4 billion problem in order to really address the lead service lines within our state. I've heard that number fluctuate depending on who I've spoken to, but that's a relatively safe range. And ultimately, finding $2 to $4 billion to address this in a state that's already challenged with affordability issues is going to be the biggest hurdle and biggest challenge. And it's upon all of us as public office holders, as those who are thought leaders and policymakers, to make that case to the people of the state of New Jersey that an investment in this is an investment that will save us over time, will save us money over time, and actually, and not to sound too with too much hyperbole here, it may actually save lives as well. Because if the quality of our water is compromised, there will be detrimental health effects, and we don't want to see that for any of our fellow citizens.